I want to take yet another look right now at Jormangandr. So I want to look at the world serpent. I've just heard about some other theories and stuff that kind of line up with this. And I've done some readings for myself about this and seen some things that are interesting. So I just want to, large number of readings, then eventually you're going to get to something resembling the truth. So we got the Tattoo Tarot Deviant Moon. Let's just see what the heck is going on. So I'm kind of looking at the ocean in general, but I am kind of specifically looking at this world serpent, right? The world eater, the unmaker. Well, fucking dang. Look at that. So our root card is the tower and the main card is the devil. Let's just see what's on either side of the devil. Whip and whip. Okay. So the root card being the tower. So this is the explosion, right? Now the tower itself is a prison. And when we don't make changes on our own, sometimes the world makes them for us. Just like the prison tower being exploded by this bolt of lightning or whatever it is. So this would show massive disruption and destruction, which ultimately would become some form of freedom, right? So here we have the devil. I mean, the tower. Here we have the devil. So the devil, possession, obsession. Now, here is the planet that the devil is dancing on. And the planet is barren. It's like dancing on a ruined planet. So the devil is the thing that would cause all of the destruction and then would be dancing on the ruined planet. Now, this is all pretty consistent with what I understand of the great serpent and like what it actually does. In the dreams that I've had about this thing, I should say dream singular. I had one dream about it, but it didn't necessarily destroy things. It unmade them, like cast them into the void. Anything it came near, it was like the living void. Um, and even though this thing is a sea serpent and comes from the abyss or whatever, it could fly. So this thing was flying through the air. So this looks pretty consistent with that, showing pretty much that it is exactly that. It's the thing that would destroy the life, at least on the surface of the earth. And back here, looking at the tower, this would also show that I guess that humanity kind of set themselves up for this because the tower shows up when there's something that needed to change in your life, but you didn't change it, and the world changed it for you. So here, and in the previous reading that I did also showed that what this thing was actually reacting to was pollution in the water. So enough water pollution, enough of humanity, I guess, fucking up our environment. And then we have this thing that shows up. Okay. Past energy, the Three of Cups. And as it moves forward, we get a Seven of Wands. Now, the Three of Cups, we have these three people. Here's their shared experience. It is interesting that it does show three people that were swallowed by a giant fish. But the Three of Cups is basically one sort of shared good time experience. Um, it tends to be like joyous emotionally, but it's something that a bunch of people go through together and it's something that they can celebrate. Now, as I look closer into it, I mean, what I'm seeing is the reference to the ocean, and I mean, also, obviously, the giant fish. But this could just be humans having a good time, at the expense of everything else. And here's the devil, and the devil is just about to ruin their day. And as it moves forward, we end up in a Seven of Wands reversed. Now, here's the thing, this all might be the serpent, right? Um, some of the readings have suggested that it's kind of like trapped or bound in some way. And this reverse Seven of Wands, the seven shows coming out of an old restriction. And if this thing was upright, it would pretty much show the serpent coming out of whatever the place is that restricted it. Now, when this thing is upside down, it goes right back into the restriction, or either that or it like can't get out. If this was a personal reading, then this would show someone coming out of restriction into wide open space, and then that space is really scary, so they turn around and they go back into the restriction. So if I look at this all as the serpent, it looks like even though it may be able to destroy things, it still can't get out of whatever the restriction is that it's in. I'm going to pull a card on this just to see what exactly is its restriction. The Page of Wands. So there's two things that come out of this. Number one, this might be a person, right? There might be a person that kind of acts as a seal somehow. Not like a seal in the water, right? But a seal, like a barrier. The other thing is the ice that's on the bottom. The barrier might be fucking ice, right? It might literally be trapped or encased in ice. So then the question is, how is it able to still destroy things when it's encased in ice? There's a Magic the Gathering card called Thing in Ice. And that's basically what it is. The card is a kraken, and it's all encased in ice. And then when it finally the ice counters are all gone, then it shows up, and it's just this badass thing. But this kind of looks that way. So, all right, what is the prompt for this thing to rise? Right? What, because it's been asleep or fucking something, but what is it that actually draws it out? And we get a Seven of Cups. Now, this is the same card. I asked the same question last night in a personal reading that I was doing that just wasn't recorded, right? And this is the same card that came out. In the seven, you see this painter, and he's like painting. What he's really doing is doing a painting of these cups, but it shows up as this like fish totem thing. Now, the vibe that I was getting is that literally like the artwork, or it's some sort of offering, right? As someone would create something in its image, or maybe to honor it in some way, that's actually the thing that wakes it up. It showed this last night too. Okay. Now, I just want to put maybe a card on either side of this. I'm going to collect these back here just so we can simplify the field. And I'm still going to draw off the top before I shuffle, but I want to look at what's on either side of this seven as far as whatever is created that actually fucking wakes this thing up. So 8, 7, 7. We have an Eight of Wands. So this is energy that has grown over a long period of time, and then it's just harvested. Now, here we also have the message that's coming from the crow. So this could be a message received, right? Or just a sudden impulse. It's like, oh my God, I am inspired to make this painting or whatever the fuck it is, right? And on the other side, the Seven of Pentacles is showing good old fashioned witchcraft. We do also have a blood reference in here. Maybe it is some sort of blood offering or whatever. But it is creation. It is done as an offering. Now, it's interesting because the readings that I did last night basically said that this offering fucking binds its spirit. Like, its spirit cannot help but respond to it. Like they're bound somehow. Like, if you make an offering to this thing, it is bound to respond to it. It's not a decision it gets to make. But here we have this, it comes from a message, or it's very impulsive, and then we have this act of creation here, mixed with good old-fashioned witchcraft and or blood. All right. Now, so if this is a potential, right, I just want to see if this potential is going to manifest in the relatively near future, in our lifetimes, right? Okay, that doesn't look very good. And the Queen of Swords. So there's another card behind the Queen. We're going to look at that. But the Ten of Swords, this might show its trap, right? So this thing is trapped in this box. Either that or it's showing all of our suffering as it wakes up. But the Ten of Swords is like this little torture chamber box. The Queen of Swords, filled with loneliness and anxiety. So what else do we have? And there's the Strength card, and it is the person wrestling the fucking fish monster. So will this thing manifest in like our lifetimes, we'll say? This would show definitely there being a fear of it, there being some sort of guard up against it. I think what this might actually be showing is holding it off. It being trapped here. And the Strength card might show the thing that is supposed to hold it at bay. Now, in the dream that I had about this thing, Thor was supposed to keep this thing at bay. But in the dream, Thor was a computer, and the computer was malfunctioning. And that's when the thing got loose, and it was flying around the sky and unmaking the world. But this would look like, as far as a yes or no, is this thing going to manifest in our lifetimes? This is a fucking maybe, but also maybe not, because this could show it being successfully trapped. And also the thing, I want to look at this Strength card just to see what is this thing that's kind of keeping it at bay. And the World. Now, this is one of the cards that led me down this fucking rabbit hole to begin with. The World showed up when I was looking at the pollution in the ocean. And you can see on the outside, this is the World Serpent. This is Jormangandr right there. So the thing that is holding it at bay, I mean, I guess that's itself. The Ouroboros, right? It's biting its own tail. Maybe it's holding itself, and maybe it's not even aware of it. It's like binding itself somehow. But other than that, what is coming out here? We do have the two fish at the top. This might be a reference to Pisces. Not really sure. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the world itself, like the Earth, literally the Earth. And that's kind of how it felt in the dream, to be honest. Like, this was like Thor was a natural process of the Earth, although it was a computer, but it was like in there. It was just part of the deal. So the Earth itself might actually be the thing that holds this at bay, like the spirit of the Earth. Okay. I'm going to look real quick at the Tattoo Tarot just to see what it says about this. And then we're going to come back to the Deviant Moon for another piece of this. All right, the Tattoo Tarot, what does this have to say about the Great Serpent? So the root card is the Knight of Swords. So here we do have a defender as a root. So I guess this is saying that there is something that is supposed to protect against it or is there to fight against it. The Death card, Five of Cups, reverse King of Wands. Oy. So the Death card could show some sort of the reaping. The Five of Cups is outward sadness. So here we have some sort of a, the word that's come into my mind is renewal. But it normally, well, I guess as a person who studies tarot, for me, the Death card normally ends up being quite a positive thing. And the sort of sadness that follows the death of something tends to be really short term, because in the long term, it's like in order for there to be new growth, something needs to go away to make room for it. So we've got the Death card and the Five of Cups. This doesn't look like that. This doesn't look like the temporary sort of crying when something old dies. This looks like some sort of renewal that causes great sadness. And the reverse King of Wands, normally the King of Wands is this amazing, like, inspirational figure. I believe back in the day that JFK would have been considered this sort of person. A lot of people were inspired by JFK. Now, when this thing gets turned upside down, this is more like a complete and total hypocrite of a leader, and you could argue that JFK was one of those. But anyway, instead of being the inspirational figure, this is a total tyrant and a fucking jackass and like just not a good dude. So there's a great transition causing sadness, leading toward kind of a bad leader, with the root card being the Knight of Swords. Huh. Well, I don't know what the hell that's talking about at all. So what we're going to do is go back to the Deviant Moon for the second part. Now, there's something that I noticed when I was researching this. I've been fucking obsessed with this for a couple weeks. But in very, very many cultures, completely unconnected cultures around the world. They have stories of this serpent, right? Now, in these stories, the serpent always fights with the storm god, specifically. And I just want to take a look at that. So, all of these cultures around the world, they all have the great sea serpent, and the sea serpent is always killed or put to sleep or whatever by specifically the storm god. And that's just too big of a fucking coincidence. So let's just see what the hell is going on there. All right. What is our root card? King of Swords. The King of Swords is the militaristic leader or whatever. This is Jean-Luc. That's our root card. So we have a Knight of Wands. So this is a soldier, and it is a highly mobile soldier here, as the Knight of Wands is like fused in with this insect thing. Then the Three of Pentacles, a bunch of people working together, followed by this Four of Swords, which is the thing. I mean, the way I'm reading it is this is the thing that is buried. So it might straight up be the mobility of the storm or the storm god. And here with this 3, this would also show that either number 1, the storm god doesn't necessarily do it alone, or number 2, that they're not separate things. This would kind of say that there's always a storm god with a serpent because they're the fucking same thing, or at least they're part of the same group that is working together, you know. And then the 4, what I'm getting out of that is just this period of time when it is buried. Huh. Hold on. Now I'm going to pull a card on this as a yes or no. Like the storm god and the serpent, are they somehow fucking linked where you can't even have one without the other? And we get a reverse 10 of Pentacles. And if this is a yes or no, that would be a no. So they're not linked. Okay. Well, we'll get out of this what we can get. And to me, this is somewhat unclear, at least somewhat. But what I pretty much want to ask, like the dream showed me that Thor, the storm god, was malfunctioning. Now, is that a thing? Is that a thing that we need to worry about? Whatever this energy is. And there it is. Okay. So is that a thing we need to worry about? The Ace of Cups is saying yes. And then we have the Strength card, which is the card that shows the thing wrestling the monster. All right. So I guess I'm going to ask what is going wrong with the Storm God. 6 of Wands. The 6 of Wands is recognition. What is going wrong with the Storm God? Now, it could be here in the 6 of Wands, this person just emerges from a cocoon. So this could actually be some sort of transformation that goes through. Now, if you were to put this into the framework of a computer, right, and a computer program, let's say the Storm God is a program in a computer. This might be a fucking patch or an update, right? Or maybe a new version. So it gets rebooted and comes out as a new version. And during the time that it gets rebooted, it's not fucking doing anything. That's like downtime, you know? Oh, this program is going to be down for like 3 days, and that's enough for this other thing to show up and destroy everything. Um Fascinating. The way that this is kind of showing up in my head is like antivirus software on a computer and then a bunch of viruses. So imagine that Jormangandr is like some sort of fucking malicious virus in a computer, some malware or whatever. And Thor is like your antivirus software. But then the antivirus software gets pulled for a little bit or starts running wrong. And then this virus software goes through and fucks everything up. And everything that I've seen in the cards shows the absolute potential for that to happen. But it also says that maybe it won't. So I don't know. I mean, I would love to hear what anybody thinks about this, or if you have your own theories or like whatever, or how it matches up with other theories, which I have seen that it kind of does. What other angles you want me to look at this from, or whatever. Uh, and if you have specific questions that you want me to do readings on, go to the Patreon page and subscribe to the Patreon for as little as $5 a month. And then I will do the readings that you ask me to do. One other note, if you want to see something that's fucking hilarious, now watch any of my readings. If you're watching them on YouTube, go to the playback speed and put the playback speed at 1.75. So it'll speed up the reading, but when the reading is fast, I sound just like Ben Shapiro. And whenever I watch one of my readings, I do this all the time now. It's one of the fucking funniest things I've ever heard. But I highly recommend you watch any of my videos with the playback speed at 1.75. Maybe you should always do that. But that's what we get for now. Peace.